Bonjour, I'm Antoine. Today on L'INTERVIEW, Andrew Weltchek, partner at Cohen Hochman Allen. Let's go meet him. Andy!
Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Right,
it's good to see you.
Antoine, always
You're
good to
good?
see
Thank you very much for taking the time. Really
it's a
appreciate
pleasure.
that.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's dive in. So, tell us who you are, where you're from, how long you've been living in New York.
My name is Andrew Weltchek. I've been living in New York since 1985. I'm a partner at the law firm of Cohen Hochman Allen across the street on Maiden Lane. And I represent individuals and businesses who own property in New York and have problems.
Okay.
They need to close a deal, resolve a dispute. You own property, you have problems, you come to me, I help solve them.
Okay. And how long you been living in New York now?
Since 1985.
Since 1985.
As my father used to say, I'm going to practice till I learn how.
That's a good one. I like that. So, talking about practicing, how long you've been working for the company? You're a partner there. Yeah,
I'm a partner
correct?
since
So
2014.
Since 2014.
Before that, I was in solo practice, and before that, I worked for the New York State Attorney General's office in the Real Estate Finance Bureau, which is the agency that regulates the developers, sponsors of co-ops and condos. They shouldn't lie to anybody,
Yes.
cheat tenants or buyers, which I hate to break it to you, Antoine, too often they do.
Really?
Yes.
What kind of world we're living in? I'm telling you.
I know. Well, you're in a world where you need condo and co-op cops, and that's what we were. But now I'm in private practice, and I have represented sponsors.
Yeah.
I've written offering plans. I've negotiated deals with owners who have problems with their co-op and condo boards. But mostly now it's individuals and businesses who want to do something with their property, or who have a problem with a neighbor, or a combination. They might be renting to a restaurant, and the restaurant and the landlord gets sued by somebody in a wheelchair under the Americans with Disability Act because there's not a ramp.
Yes.
That's a problem. They come to me, I help solve it.
Yeah. So you're dealing with mostly commercials.
That's correct nowadays.
And landlord. So what is one of the most common reasons landlords or current tenant come to you? Is there
because they run out of money.
And they hire you? I would be worried if I were you.
Well, I tell my wife that the best clients are smart people with money who got in trouble through no fault of their own. In other words, they might have run out of money, but if they've still got a viable business, they understand that it's worth investing the material and legal help that it takes to resolve the situation, or to end it if that's what really isn't necessary, but you hope not.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes tenants landlords will come to me, as in the pandemic, where they're just businesses down and they need to renegotiate the relationship in order to try to live for another day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So talking about complaint and etc. So can you dish out a little bit, tell us one of the most bizarre
well, I had this client who bought a store. It was actually a
he bought a store. Okay.
Well, it was a retail condo unit, the ground floor of a building, and the tenant had been there for 30 years. It was a French apparel store. They were great tenants.
Don't give names, okay.
And when he bought it, he realized that in the back wall, the corner of the building, outside the space where the store was, the neighbor behind them had installed a huge heating and air conditioning unit. Yeah, a huge AC unit. Bolted it to the wall without notice, permission, or anything. And so I go to the neighbor and I say, excuse me, get off our darn building.
Yeah, exactly.
And he tells me where to stick my AC.
Oh, wow.
So
that's not nice.
We had a fight with him.
Do you know who I am?
He didn't care who I was. I hate to break it to you, Antoine.
What do you say to your clients when their expectations are, are not anchored in reality? I call that.
Very often people want justice. They want their feelings have been hurt. they want to be respected. I tell them with all due respect, if you want justice, go to church. Because in the law,
I can't believe it's on film.
in the law, you have to recognize the realistic limits of what people can do or what they're likely to do or what your leverage is, what you're likely to be able to get out of the situation. You want to spend the least money to get the best result possible, but you have to face the fact that sometimes you're going to have to spend more than you thought. The very first client I got when I joined this firm in 2014 had been in litigation with the condo board. He was the sponsor.
He was the sponsor?
For 20 years.
Wow.
And I promised him two things. I said, we're going to resolve this problem, and it's going to take longer, and it's going to cost you more than you want. And I was true on all three counts. We did resolve it.
Was he happy at the end?
And he didn't have any choice. And in the end, it enabled him to sell the commercial parts of that building for $29 million, and he made a very nice profit.
That was pretty good, no?
No, it was very good. He was very happy. But that was at the end. At the beginning, he was not so happy.
I'm sure, like everybody, I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about you. What has your job taught you about yourself?
Well, I used to think that I was in the legal business, but I'm actually in the real estate therapy business. I have to help people understand their problems, I have to explain them, and then they have to understand and accept what are the realistic situations, just like we were talking about with the
expectations of people. Exactly.
And the other thing is I really enjoy what I do. I like figuring things out.
But is there something that you didn't know you had in you, and then this work really
I grew up in
it out of you?
I grew up in the 60s.
Yes.
And my initial work as a lawyer in the first 10 years was as a civil rights lawyer.
Wow.
I represented ACORN, which was a national community organizing outfit that, among others, worked with Barack Obama in Chicago. And that was a lot of fun. But I was going to have a family, and I had to recognize that I had to get a straight job at some point. And I didn't expect that that's what I would have to do, nor did I realize how much I would end up enjoying it. Not because it made me fabulously wealthy, but because it gave me something serious and effective to do. Not that I hadn't been doing serious and effective work, but I also needed to support my family.
Yeah, of course, like everybody else, huh?
Right.
Ta-da! Magic wand. You're now the mayor of New York City.
Oh boy.
What would you do?
Why do you hate me, Andrew?
What would you do for the city in terms of the tenant-landlord relationship? What would you make better?
That's a very hard question because
I know. Thank you very much.
The competing interests are genuine and not greedy. That is to say, tenants need homes, landlords need to pay their bills, they need to pay their mortgages. I think that in the real estate market in general, and insofar as the mayor has a role in helping this process, the single biggest relief that people need now is from lenders who hold mortgages that are in arrears because tenants and landlords over the last 2 years of the pandemic have been unable to pay what they otherwise should have. And ultimately that is a political problem solved by the federal government through tax policy and subsidies. And I'm not here to tell anybody
well, you're the mayor of New York right now.
If I'm the mayor of New York, then I'm working hard as possible with the legislators in Albany, the governor, and the House of Representatives and Senators in Washington, D.C. to get the support that New York City needs in order to survive as the vibrant center of our national economy that it is.
So you will help towards the lenders?
Both.
Lenders and borrowers?
Look, there's no lenders making money without borrowers. There's no borrowers making money without lenders.
Yes.
It's a relationship.
That is true. That is true. What has the city taught you about New Yorkers?
Well, New Yorkers are some of the greatest people in the world, and I've done a fair
I agree with that.
I've done a fair amount of traveling, and I might have told you earlier when I went to Paris for the first time, it occurred to me that all the women were beautiful and the men are too.
Thank you.
And
I'm not from Paris, but I take it as a compliment.
As wonderful as it is, Barcelona, Seville, all places all over the world. My mother grew up in England, but there's nowhere with quite the edge, quite the energy of New York. It's the only other place in the United States that I love outside of New Orleans, where I used to live. Which, like New York, is a gumbo, which is a Louisiana term. Just a mixture of every kind of people.
That is very true, you know. Yeah, I always say, you know, New York City is probably the only city in the world where you get into a subway car, there's probably 15 different nationalities in it. It's crazy, yeah?
It is. And all the signs will be in that language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what's the most rewarding part of your work?
The most rewarding work of the most satisfying thing for me is to solve problems and to deliver results that people, if not thrilled, at least satisfied that they got the best possible turn of events, that a dispute got resolved in a way that they're satisfied with, that a deal got closed and the value that they were looking for was delivered. And for me, just personally, if difficult problems get solved and I help figure them out, I get a selfish pleasure out of that.
That's cool. I like that. Then, talking about that, let's walk a little bit. Andy, you know, we talk about, you know, the difficult cases, difficult clients, but yeah, that's something I really also want to know is, do you have a case that you've won and that you're still very proud of?
Well, I'm proud of a lot of my work, but in particular,
I know I just need one. Okay,
I'm not shy, as just ask my wife. But in particular, the matter I mentioned before, where my client was able to resolve a 20-year dispute with the condo board and end up realizing the value that was in the retail parts of the building by selling it for a substantial profit. In the course of that, we had a very difficult and contentious lawsuit, and the people really hated each other and were very difficult. And
what a surprise, huh? Lawsuit,
well, it is.
hate each other.
But we were able to get over that, reach a result that satisfied mostly everybody. And in the course of that, my client's father, who was also part of the ownership, passed away, and it was very good as a sort of a legacy to him and to his family to be able to have a good result in this matter. That is deeply satisfying. I was glad to be a part of something that was able to provide his family and the other people, frankly, with a good result.
All right, my last question. So, if you were a tool or an object to help you perform your work better, what would you be?
One of those Swiss Army knives that has, 50 blades and a dozen different pliers and screwdrivers and stuff, so that no matter what problem I came upon, I would have the right tool.
I love it. Swiss knife it is. Good. That's it, folks. That was Andy from Cohen Hochman Allen. So if you own any piece of properties in New York City, please contact him. He's going to do wonders. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy it. You know the drill. Subscribe, comment, share, like. But in the meantime, it's
selfie time.
Selfie time. You ready?
I'll go for it.
All right. Okay. Let's do it. Where's that? Okay. Oh, here we are. Ah!